welcome you to the SISBD Virtual Wellness Month. Could you believe this is our last day? It's our last session. I mean, this month really passed fast. They say time goes when you're having fun. We did have fun. And today is our last session with our nutritionist, Miss Patrice Williams. And I mean, she took her time. She went beyond the call of duty for us today to impart some of her knowledge that she also researched for us, especially for our patients with blood disorders. So her lecture would be for nutrition specific to blood disorders such as sickle cell, thalassemia, and hemophilia. And we just want to thank her again for being part of our virtual wellness month and for taking her time and for researching all these information now she's going to impart on us. So Ms. Williams, without further ado, you take it away, and we are so excited to have this session with you today.
Hi, Nadia. Thank you so much. And it is my honor and my privilege to be here again with you guys today. And we will get straight into it. All right. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, so one of my favorite quotes is from Hippocrates, which says, "Let thy food be thy medicine." And in my line of research and expertise, I have found it to be so true. Many of the lifestyle diseases that we see, and even inherited diseases that we see cropping up, it is treatable by food and our nutrition intake. So today's presentation will be specifically catered to the inherited blood disorders, as Nadia would have alluded to. Hope for a cure, strengthen your survival for sure. Okay, so first of all, we're gonna start off with hemophilia nutrition therapy. And we're just gonna have an overview of the condition. So as we know, hemophilia is an inherited bleeding disorder in which the blood does not clot properly. This can lead to spontaneous bleeding as well as excessive bleeding following injuries or surgery. Although blood clots inside the body are bad for our health, clotting, also known as coagulation, is an essential part of the healing process. And people with hemophilia will want nutritional support to help support their blood's ability to coagulate. So let's get straight into it. The blood clotting nutrients, or the nutrients that are involved in the body's blood clotting mechanism, are vitamin K, which is absolutely crucial, calcium, copper, and iron. These nutrients play a major role in our body's ability to form clots, and of course, which is a major part of the healing process. So how do these vitamins help, or how do these vitamins play a role? So vitamin K helps maintain the health of your blood and your bones. It can help promote the body's ability to clot. It can help promote the body's ability to form blood clots, and is considered to be one of the most important nutrients for people who have bleeding disorders. Vitamin K sources. So we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Yes, we know that, okay, vitamin K is important, but what foods contain vitamin K? Vitamin K can be obtained from a variety of sources, including leafy vegetables like bhaji, spinach, lettuce and kale, broccoli, okra, fruits like blueberries and grapes, nuts like pine nuts and cashews. It can also be obtained from animal sources like chicken, ground beef, and eggs. So this diagrammatic illustration shows the highest, like various foods that contain vitamin K, but as you can see, if you look a little bit closer, kale is very high in vitamin K, containing 444 micrograms per half cup of kale. You can also see that prunes is on this list, as well as our various leafy greens. Not consuming enough vitamin K-rich foods will act as a natural blood thinner. This can lead to bruising, bleeding problems, and may increase your risk of osteoporosis. Insufficient vitamin K may also play a role in the development of heart disease. So the other nutrient that is important in blood clotting is calcium. Calcium works with vitamin K and also maintains the health of your bones and your blood. Calcium sources include milk products, of course, including cheese, yogurt, sour cream, and cream cheese. Seafoods like sardines and salmon, vegetables like kale, broccoli, pak choy, bok choy, turnips. Calcium is a crucial nutrient for your overall health. So deficiencies can lead to serious health issues. In addition to helping your blood clot, it can also help regulate your blood pressure, improves the health of your bones, and reduces your risk of different diseases. The other nutrient that is vital for people who are living with hemophilia is iron. Iron is well known for being important for the health of your blood and bones. This mineral helps make important proteins like hemoglobin, which is found in the red blood cells. Foods that are rich in iron include seafood, like sardines and tuna, meat products such as beef, turkey, and chicken, legumes like lentils, kidney beans, white beans, soybeans, and chickpeas, and nuts like pistachios and cashew nuts. Okay, so in addition to the foods that you should make a concerted effort to include in your diet, there are the foods that you absolutely need to avoid. And those include flaxseed, chia seeds, and cod liver oil. While these foods are helpful for people without bleeding disorders, because of the high omega-3 content, it actually acts as a natural blood thinner, and it can exacerbate the bleeding disorder and bruising and excessive bleeding that is known or that is characteristic for those living with hemophilia. So just a key to help you remember. So the food colors that you want to keep in mind for treating hemophilia are red food. So you have like watermelon, you have like pomegranate, you have like tomatoes, you have like red cherries. So red, green, so you have your cucumbers, you have your kiwi, you have your fresh peas and beans, you have sweet peppers, and yellow. So you have like bananas, pumpkins, squash, etc. So this is just an easy key for you to remember. So when you're out grocery shopping, you can quickly remember these colors. And these are the foods that will help treat your condition. Okay, so I also like to reiterate that it's really important to get our children involved in the food preparation process. And while we're there preparing foods with them, we can educate them about the benefits and why these types of foods are important and how they have therapeutic effects on mind and body. Okay, so now we're moving along to thalassemia nutrition therapy. And we're going to start with an overview of the condition. So thalassemia is also an inherited blood disorder in which the body makes an abnormal form or an inadequate amount of hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is the protein in red blood cells that carries oxygen. The disorder results in a large number of red blood cells being destroyed prematurely, which leads to anemia and other adverse symptoms. People with thalassemia will want nutritional support with the production of healthy red blood cells, mitigation against iron overload, and detox of heavy metals. They will also want support toward enhancement of their immunity, especially in the case where a splenectomy has been undergone, and support against excessive inflammation. Protein and collagen are also important to help support bone health and strength. So thalassemia beneficial foods. Water-rich fruits and vegetables such as watermelons and cucumbers have a cleansing and detoxing effect, especially important for individuals who have had their spleens or gallbladders removed. So we have foods like water-rich fruits like cucumbers, pineapples, tomatoes, watermelon, citrus, grapes, etc. So we know that iron overload is an issue. So with people who are living with thalassemia, there are foods that actually inhibit iron absorption, even if you eat foods that contain iron. So calcium inhibits both heme and non-heme iron. And when we talk about heme and non-heme iron is iron from animal products, and non-heme iron is the iron that we get from plant-based products, so like our leafy greens, etc. So calcium assisted it not only inhibits iron absorption, but it also assists in mitigating against bowel brittleness, which is common among individuals with this condition. Iron absorption inhibitors continued. Non-heme iron absorption is also inhibited by phytic acid. Phytic acid is found in whole grains, cereals, legumes, nuts, and seeds. So as we have in our illustration here, things like pecans, cashews, pumpkin seeds, pine nuts, these all contain phytic acid. So consuming these foods along with foods that may contain iron is a good idea because it helps to inhibit iron absorption from the digestive tract into the bloodstream. So polyphenols are also known to inhibit iron absorption. These are found in foods like tea, cocoa, coffee, fruits, vegetables, cereals, and legumes, and they're also for the adults found in things like red wine. These bind to non-heme iron to form an insoluble complex, which inhibits entry from the intestinal wall into the bloodstream. So say for example, so a practical application of this knowledge now is so that if you're having a meal that may contain iron or that you consider may have a high amount of iron, you can, with this meal, you can consume tea. So, a tea bag with your milk, and this will help to mitigate against iron absorption. So the effect of iron enhancers and iron inhibitors on absorption is obviously strongest when it is consumed with meals that contain iron. So beneficial foods for thalassemia are colorful vegetables for folate. So fresh vegetable juices help because they have a boost in live enzymes and nutrients, and they also contain immunity building micronutrients. This application is especially useful for persons who may have a poor appetite or who may be so weak at the point in time or uninspired to eat that, juices would be beneficial for them. So it's a quickly absorbing nutrient boost. Okay, another type of food is like sweet potato soup, and these are the blended soups that you would get in like gourmet restaurants, but they're quite easy to make at home. So this is another food that would be beneficial for people living with thalassemia. So other nutrients that are beneficial is vitamin D. So getting out every now and then and getting into the sunshine, because we know that vitamin D is called the sunshine vitamin, sorry. And we're blessed in the Caribbean to have an abundance of sunshine. So it is important to get out into the fresh air, into nature every now and then to get our dose of vitamin D. So again, continuing with the theme of, your key colors. So for thalassemia, key food colors would be yellow, orange, brown for your nuts and seeds, and red. Okay, so sickle cell anemia, nutrition therapy. So continuing with the theme, we will have an overview of the condition. And then in having this overview, we can see the relationship between the nutrition therapy and the actual disorder. Okay, so sickle cell disease is an inherited red blood cell disorder in which there aren't enough healthy red blood cells to carry oxygen throughout the body. In sickle cell anemia, the red blood cells become sickle shaped, and these cells are rigid and sticky and can get stuck in small blood vessels, which slow or block blood flow and oxygen to parts of the body. Pain develops when sickle-shaped red blood cells get stuck and blood flow is blocked through the tiny blood vessels. Swelling is caused by sickle-shaped red blood cells blocking blood flow to the extremities, such as the hands and the feet. Sickle cells can damage the spleen, leaving individuals more vulnerable to infections. Tiny blood vessels that supply the eyes can become plugged with sickled cells, and this can lead to damage of the retina, which may lead to vision problems. Persons with this condition will want nutrition support to facilitate proper blood circulation through making blood cells less sticky, reduce swelling, so anti-inflammatory foods, immune building, especially in the case where damage to the spleen has occurred, vision supporting foods, and detoxing, getting rid of the byproducts of metabolism and red blood cell destruction. So first of all, we will go into the anti-inflammatory foods. So anti-inflammatory foods reduce the incidence of swelling in hands and feet, and they reduce the incidence of pain crisis. So including foods such as tomatoes, olive oil, green leafy vegetables such as spinach, kale, and collards are a good move to make. Nuts like almonds and walnuts, fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, tuna, and sardines, and fruits like pineapple, oranges, and mangoes. So immunity building foods. So foods like ginger, you can consume it in the form of a tea. You can include it when you're in your actual meal prep. Ginger is very immune building, and it also helps warm the body, so it assists in circulation as well. Garlic, onions, vitamin C is a strong enhancer of non-heme ion absorption, which while this is undesirable in other conditions, it's actually desirable for sickle cell disease. All these foods have natural antibiotic and antimicrobial activities which help to enhance the immunity. So I'm very happy because I was having a conversation with one of our members, and he basically confirmed that the vegetable juices and the brightly colored vegetables actually help support health and wellness and that level of energy. So to take it further, he was talking about the beetroot juice, which is excellent, but also green juices help to facilitate, the production of blood and red blood cells, because chlorophyll that is within these green leafy vegetables is very similar in its chemical structure to blood. So when you consume these foods, it actually boosts your healthy blood production. Bright, colorful vegetables are also helpful. Water-rich foods for detox of, those byproducts of red blood cell destruction, such as pineapple, vegetable juices, cucumbers, watermelons, oranges, lettuce. These are good foods to help with your body detoxing all those byproducts that occur when you are living with this condition. So I'm not sure how many of us know, but water is H2O. So by consuming water-rich foods, you're actually consuming oxygen in its bound form, because water is essentially 2 hydrogen atoms bound to 1 oxygen atom. So when you consume water-rich foods, you're actually supplying your body with oxygen in a form that would, actually get into your bloodstream and help supply your cells and your organs and your tissues with that oxygen. So for this reason, staying hydrated helps to improve oxygen levels in the blood. Drinking enough water and consuming a lot of water-rich foods will not only help you stay hydrated, but it's also easier for your blood to deliver nutrients and oxygen to the rest of the body, because I believe that we're aware that our blood and our body is 70% water. So the more water, clean, obviously possible water that we consume, and especially in the form of the foods that we consume, because these foods have live enzymes in them. So we are getting a double boost, and we're actually consuming live water when we consume these water-rich foods. Okay, so whereas I said before that certain foods should be avoided by certain people with the other conditions, these foods are actually beneficial for persons with sickle cell disease. And those foods are positive because they have an anti-inflammatory effect, and they actually make your blood cells less sticky. So they are less likely to clot together, they are less likely to stick together and lead to pain crisis. So foods like flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts, cod liver oil, and cocoa actually are really good for people with sickle cell disease. Cocoa is especially good because when it's consumed and it's assimilated into the body, it actually produces something called nitric oxide, which helps to dilate or make the blood vessels wider. So once the blood vessels are wider, you can imagine that obviously blood cells will be able to flow through to the extremities more easily. So that's a valid excuse for persons who are chocolate lovers. But of course, we want dark chocolate and not milk chocolate, or 100% cocoa powder, which we have in abundance in Trinidad and Tobago. Okay, so additional foods to help enhance blood flow and blood circulation include fatty fish like salmon, sardines, mackerel, and herring. Vitamin E-rich foods such as avocados, almonds, and sunflower seeds. So this is just a picture illustration of the vitamin E-rich foods, which we should try to be consuming on a regular basis. Okay, so as we did before, there are foods that we should avoid, especially for persons who live with sickle cell disease. And those foods are soybean oil and saturated fat, because these actually could create plaque in the arteries and the blood vessels, which actually contribute to a narrowing of the blood vessels. And with this condition, there's already an issue with blood circulation. So these types of foods actually exacerbate any condition and could actually promote or lead to a pain crisis, which we want to avoid. So instead of oils like soybean oil and things like ghee, we want to favor oils like coconut oil and olive oil because of the favorable omega-6 to omega-3 ratio of these oils. So we continue with the foods to avoid or limit as much as possible are refined carbohydrates such as white bread and pastries, because these foods like white bread, pastries, and these types of foods, they are usually cooked with things like ghee and saturated fat. So, and we know the reason why we want to avoid the saturated fat. So French fries are another food that go into that category. Soda and other sugar sweetened beverages. I'm not sure how many of us know, but sugar actually has an inflammatory effect on the body and the brain, which leads to a host or a suite of disorders and diseases. And it can exacerbate the symptoms of sickle cell disease. Red meat we want to avoid, such as burgers, steak, of course, processed meats like hot dogs, sausages, saturated fats, as we said before, excess salt, because salt is here dehydrating. And once something is dehydrated, so if our body is dehydrated, that causes a constriction of our blood vessels, which could lead to poor circulation, which could further lead to pain crisis. And excess processed sugar, which is similar to the salt because it has a dehydrating effect on the body. Okay, so again, with the key, the color key, for sickle cell disease, I have green, and that's not a typographical error. I put that intentionally because as I said, that chlorophyll is of crucial importance to help with the production of healthy red blood cells. So we have green, orange, and red. So we have our bok choy, pak choy, spinach, kiwi, even avocados. We have our oranges, we have our squash, we have our watermelon, tomatoes, pomegranate. All these types of foods have a therapeutic effect and help to avoid pain crisis and other symptoms. Okay, so that is the end of our presentation today, and I would just like us to close with the watchword or the watch phrase, choose live, as in choose live foods, because if you consume live, then that will have an enlivening effect on you. And of course, if you choose dead food, like overly processed foods, is going to have a negative effect. So thank you for your attention. And I believe the floor is open up for any questions that you may have.
Yes, so now we'll leave the floor open to any questions you all may have for Ms. Williams at this time. Come on, members, don't be shy. This is the opportunity now to get all you can from Ms. Williams.
All right, we have a hand raised, Julian, so I'll allow her to speak. Julian, you could go ahead.
Hi, good evening, all.
Hi, good evening.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you spoke about the green leafy plants where was dashing bush one of those? Because
Yeah.
you called spinach.
Dashing bush can be included in there.
Okay, so I have an issue. There are times when I eat the dashing bush, right? And I would itch. And there were times that I will not itch.
Yes, I can completely understand that because dasheen bush has something called oxalic acid in it, which is like little microscopic crystals. So if it is you do not like cook the, how do I put it? If you don't cook it thoroughly, those oxalates would actually lead to that itching that you experience. And what is usually done as well is that's why people also put coconut milk, yes, in
But
the dasheen, because the coconut milk actually binds to the oxalic acid and neutralizes it. So you have to
But-
cook dasheen bush really, really well to destroy that that component in it.
but it's usually cooked with the coconut milk at all times actually, and it's cooked thoroughly. It's just that I can't understand why. And then it's not, we don't really buy it from the supermarket or from the market. So I can't blame like the chemicals or whatever, because most of the times we grow it.
Yeah.
So one day or 1 week, maybe I would be able to eat it normal, no side effects whatsoever. And then next week or 2 weeks after that, I may itch.
And when you say you itch, is it like your mouth, and or is it like a
All over.
rash, or
No, just no rash, just itch.
like where? Where would you experience the itchy?
Like my hands, not my face or anything, like my hands across my body.
Oh,
So I would normally take a Puriton and it helps.
okay. Yeah, I understand that. So, as I would have explained, it does have that chemical in it. And but what may also contribute to that is maybe you have a bit of an intolerance or a sensitivity to that particular chemical, the oxalic acid, because does anybody else in your family experience it, or is it just you?
Just me.
Right, so you may have a sensitivity to the oxalates in the dasheen bush. So maybe you could opt for like, do you know pui bhaji? Are you aware of that? Or they call it Malabar spinach. That's another green that is grown locally. Or you maybe swap out the dasheen bush for another green, since you may have a sensitivity to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something else, I grew up eating pineapple and I can't eat pineapple now. I have a very bad reaction to it. My throat swells up and I itch. So I could no longer eat pineapple.
Okay. That sounds like as you got older, you developed a sensitivity to it. Is it that you used to eat it a lot prior?
No, not a lot. It would be normal fruits. Where we would normally grow our pineapple, and when it's ready, we have it.
Right.
Not like every day or every week, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But as you're correct, it's only when I got older, I dare not put pineapple in my mouth.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, because what we need to be aware of is that most drugs are derived from food-based sources, right? So it's usually the active component or the therapeutic component of the food is actually extracted from the food to create a drug or medicine. So that is why you would see like FDA, Food and Drug Administration, these administrations are one. So all foods, especially all natural plant-based foods, they have like medicinal or therapeutic or active components to them that what it sounds like is that as you got older, you developed a sensitivity to it. Because I'm not sure if you're aware that you know about meat tenderizer.
Yes.
It's actually it's called it's a chemical called bromelain, and that is actually extracted from pineapple. So that chemical is actually used to tenderize meat or break down proteins. So as we age, obviously our skin, everything, it's not as resilient as it was when we were younger. So maybe that active component within the pineapple is actually, maybe it accumulated in your system and that resulted in a sensitivity over time. But it sounds like it's just a sensitivity that you developed as you got older. So I mean, we live in the tropics, so all is not lost. You know, you can still have your mangoes, you can still have, you know, your local bananas, and you know, so all is not lost. Those are just two things that you have to maybe avoid now, because I'm sure
But
you had your fill of it when you were younger. So everything is a season, right?
true, but I still use the dashing bush because I still have Kalaloo.
Right.
And when I have the Kalaloo, I don't have a reaction at all. It's
Okay.
just when it's where you make it into the plain dashing bush. But when it's in Kalaloo, it's totally different. I don't have
Right.
any issue.
Yes, so that confirms my initial assumption is the level of preparation. So, you know, with Kalaloo, you cook it way more than you would like if you like stir fry it.
Yes.
So, right. So that's what's happening is the oxalate acid is not thoroughly destroyed. So that's why you get that itchy effect. So
But
yes, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that because you confirmed my initial assumption.
but I still prefer Kalaloo over spinach, to
Okay,
be very honest.
okay. Well, yeah, the
So I
solution then.
still
Sorry, go ahead.
so I still have access to, you know, green leafy vegetables. You know,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not willing to give up the Kalaloo.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, and if you're not having an issue with the Kalaloo, then it's definitely what I would have said. It's the level of cooking because the heat, the prolonged exposure to heat destroys those oxalate acids, which as you said, it eliminates that itchy effect or that itchy symptom. So, well, you know, then you can have the Kalaloo, which is awesome, but just the stir fry form of it, you just try to stay away from that. So you can still enjoy your dashing bush.
Okay, we have another hand up, and we also have a couple of questions. So I'll go with the questions first.
Okay.
Right. So someone was asking what foods are good for persons with IDA? And I'm not sure what they're referring to, but IDA.
Irritable bowel syndrome.
IDA. D.
IDA.
Yeah. D as in dog, yes.
Okay, they will have to let me know what that is because I thought it was IDA. I'm not sure what
Yeah.
that acronym means.
All right. I think they iron deficiency anemia.
Oh, okay. Well, we have the leafy greens for sure, red meat, and with regards to iron deficiency anemia, it's not always that you're not consuming those iron-rich foods, but it's that it's not being properly assimilated into the body. So, as we would have said in the presentation, things like if you're having, say, like stir fry pak choy, which has the iron in it, with a side of beef, curry beef or something, you want to have with that something that has like vitamin C in it. So the vitamin C would actually help to increase the absorption of the iron that you're consuming. So if you have say something like hibiscus tea, when you have this meal, that the hibiscus tea would have a lot of vitamin C in it. So that would help your body absorb the iron that you're consuming more. So you have your leafy greens. So a lot of greens, You can have beef, you can have things like liver, which I know is a pet peeve of a lot of people, but it's really good if you prepare it well. And have it with vitamin C, which helps increase the absorption of this mineral. And what you don't want to do is have it with calcium-rich food. So you don't want to have it with milk, you don't want to have it with cheese, you don't want to have it with anything that is high in calcium. Okay.
All right. Let me allow KW has his hand up, so let me allow him to ask his question, and then I'll go to the one of the other questions we have.
Okay.
KW, go ahead.
Greetings, everyone. Ms. Williams.
Hi, KW. Greetings.
How are you?
I am well, thank God. How are you doing?
Not as good as you, but I'm sure I'll get. and listening to you today certainly gives me the impetus. My first question is, when are you coming back?
When am I coming back?
All right, that's a rhetorical question. For the,
When I'm invited back, I suppose.
so let me get into the other questions. In response to the person who spoke just a while ago, in terms of tolerance for things that you, at my experience is with crab and shrimp. Of course, I still love them, but they don't love me, so I have to have them. But on an alkaline body, paying attention to that as you live longer assists with you enjoying the, if you have these reactions, assists with you continually enjoying the food that you once enjoyed. That's one. I have a couple of questions, or I think you probably could just comment on. And I've heard that even if we grow our food at home, once we live in closeness or proximity to possible farmers, it can affect our water table, and we are not immune to the chemicals that they use. We certainly will not have it in its intensity,
Right.
but still affect the foods that we grow because our water table runs is not cordoned by their gardens. It runs as far as it needs to run. Can you comment on those two, please?
Well, I will take the last issue that you raised first, and that is absolutely true. I mean, it's not to be discouraged by that, because obviously we live in a toxic world, as I said in my first presentation. So at the end of the day, we have to choose the lesser of the evils that we're presented with. And of course, growing your own food is ideal. And if you're able to do that, I would encourage that. But as you said, and this is a reason why we cannot certify a lot of our foods cannot be certified organic because of that reason you would have raised there. Because if you're in close proximity to pollutants or to people who are not doing organic farming, then that water table will be affected. So you're absolutely correct. The second issue, but that is not to discourage anyone, because growing your own food is ideal, and that's a goal that I aspire to myself. The first question you would have asked with regards to alkalizing your body, it depends. Obviously, it depends on each person's biochemistry and physiology, but when you consume a standard American diet, which we can see on the left here, it creates inflammation in the body. And inflammation, it manifests itself in all different types of ways. It could manifest itself as allergies, it could manifest itself as arthritis, it could even manifest itself as depression and diabetes, right? So to your point, where if you alkalize your body, and in alkalizing your body, that means you're choosing more of the live foods, more of the green foods, more of the plant-based foods, that inflammation is reduced or eliminated. So your body is not hypersensitive as it would have been on the standard American diet. So yes, it can contribute to your body not having this hypersensitive response to natural foods. Because once you're not eating live foods, or you're not eating God-given foods,
Right.
your body is out of order. It's not operating as it is designed to operate, so it will overreact to things that it should not overreact to. So it can manifest as eczema, it can manifest as all different things. So again, that was a long way of saying yes, it can and it does, but to just take it a little further, it also depends on the individual and their particular body chemistry and body physiology. So we need more information in order to say a definite yes or no with regards to the individual case.
Right.
Right,
And
so,
you may have been exposed to hydroponics and vertical gardens. I guess those are options that we can look at. Do you have any more time, Mr. Moderator?
Well, I was just wanna mention one of the comments in response in the chat. And Robbie was saying that when preparing dashing bush, you need to remove the tips, and if you don't, it tends to scratch, right? And then a question that we had before was are there any natural iron chelation foods? That's from Jason.
Are there any natural?
Iron chelation foods.
Yes, but it's a bit complicated because vitamin C, it chelates iron. However, so okay, so if you how to put this best. So if you consume foods that contain a lot of vitamin C and you are already controlling the amount of iron in your diet, then vitamin C is a natural, vitamin C and vitamin K are natural chelates of iron, or vitamin A, sorry. So if you consume these foods while you're already controlling your iron intake, it will have a chelating effect, it will have a detoxing effect. So that's why I would have said, you know, those water-rich foods like your watermelon and your cucumbers and your tomatoes, these types of foods would actually help to detox your body from excessive iron. So yes, and those would be the particular recommendations I would make. So your watermelon, your tomatoes, your cucumbers, these types of foods, if you included more into your diet, then it would balance that iron in your blood. So your veggie juices, your veggie juices, your water-rich fruits and vegetables. Yes.
Okay. One of the things you mentioned in the presentation, you spoke about heme iron and non-heme iron. Could you explain a little more the difference between the two, and why one is better than the other, especially for those persons who may have sickle cell?
Well, I wouldn't say one is better than the other. It's just that you have to know your food combination in order to get the most out of it. So non-heme iron is iron that you get from plant-based sources. So your leafy greens, say your nuts and seeds and these kinds of things. So the issue with the non-heme iron is that it's not as bioavailable, or it's not as easily absorbed into the blood as the heme iron. However, if you were to eat, okay, so say you're having a salad and it has a lot of leafy greens. If you put stuff like raisins on there, which is high in vitamin C, then that would help with your iron absorption of the iron within your leafy greens and within your nuts and seeds and stuff. However, with the heme iron, which comes from like your beef and your goat and chicken and these kinds of things, the animal has already broken down that non-heme iron into a bioavailable form, and it's become a part of their tissue. So it's already in a form that is bioavailable to us. So we don't necessarily have to take that step further of consuming a vitamin C rich food along with it, because it's already broken down. So the animal that we're consuming, it's sort of already pre-digested that non-heme iron into a more bioavailable form, if that makes sense.
Okay. A little question. One of the things I recall in your presentation, in speaking about thalassemia, one of the suggestions was tea. Right.
Yeah.
Now I've heard mentioned before of green tea therapy to help with iron chelation. I don't know what you could offer in terms of comment about that.
Green tea therapy.
Yeah, I've heard people suggest that that's a useful method of assisting with iron chelation.
I would. Okay, well, as I would have alluded to, the phytates in the tea and the phytochemicals in the tea, they actually, yes, have a chelating effect where they bind to the iron and they create a complex where the iron is not absorbable. So in essence, yes, that is a form of tea therapy, but it's not limited to green tea. It's also in your black tea. I think it's actually more abundant in the black tea, but I guess they were riding on the whole green tea bandwagon because that was popular at the time. But the black tea also has that effect. The cocoa, our 100% cocoa powder, has that effect as well. Things like turmeric has that effect as well. So yes, I agree that the tea therapy has that type of chelating effect, and would help, or it would assist in inhibiting that iron absorption. So yeah.
One question is on the tea. The tea, does it have to be bland, or can they mix it with sugar or milk?
Actually adding milk, it would help because milk is another chelate, because the calcium in the milk also binds to the iron. The calcium also competes with the iron for absorption into the bloodstream. So the tea with the milk is like a double-edged sword, let's put it like that, in fighting it against the iron absorption. So yes, you can have it with milk, you can have it with sugar. But of course we want to control our sugar intake because sugar has an inflammatory effect. So just keeping that in mind.
One of the things that I saw, if anybody else have any questions, I just want to ask a question about the cod liver oil and flaxseed and stuff. So my husband is hemophilia, and that was one of the things we thought would have been good for his joints and the omega, and that was one of his supplements. So now that I'm seeing it on his list, I'm now thinking, wow, that could have been contributing to some of his spontaneous bleeds and stuff now.
Yeah, yeah. Because those foods are natural blood thinners, and people with hemophilia, their blood is already very fluid. It already has that issue with not clotting. So yeah, we don't want we don't want that. To mitigate against the the pain in your joints and these kinds of things, that's where all the anti-inflammatory foods would come in. So that's where your reds and your greens and your yellows would come in. So like your squash, your cucumbers, these kinds of things, those are the type of foods that have an anti-inflammatory effect, which would help mitigate against, you know, those pain crisis and those symptoms. So it needs to be a whole holistic type of and mindful approach to your nutrition intake instead of just, you know, kind of vi and just going with what tastes good or feels good. You have to be very strategic with your nutrition intake.
One more thing, as I'm seeing on the orange, on the yellow side, I'm not seeing watermelon. I mean, pineapples.
Pineapple is fine. Well, pineapple is fine, but you still want to be moderate with the pineapple because, as I said, pineapple has an enzyme in it that actually digests protein.
Okay.
So, and the blood is a type of a protein, and while for other people that might be good because we want to be moderate with the pineapple. It's not that you can't have it, but you want to be moderate with it because of that bromelain that is contained in there.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
So as we're talking about calcium, all right, there's a question, I'll ask the question first, and then I wanna ask something about calcium and milk. So the question we have is, what type of milk is preferred? Grass-fed animals?
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because this is a big topic, but yes, the short answer is absolutely, because most of the dairy industry, it's corn fed, and the corn now is genetically modified, and that has an inflammatory effect on the animal. So when you consume the milk, you're consuming a lot of mucus and pus and a lot of gross things.
Right.
So
Yeah.
definitely grass fed.
Yeah. Well. I think that takes me to what I was about to ask about, because and I know you mentioned a lot about calcium-rich foods, especially greens, kales, collard greens, and green for a lot of green foods, right? For quite a number of the disorders you covered, right? But there's a sort of debate now about that as we get older, we don't absorb the calcium in milk sufficiently, and we should use these green sources more as a source of calcium as opposed to milk.
Yeah.
Right. So they're saying especially for adults that the greens are better. What are your thoughts on that?
Especially for adults, especially for children, especially for everyone, actually, I would say the greens are a better source, because milk, we can do a whole presentation on the evils of dairy, milk, and all of that stuff. So ideally, I would say that getting it from your plant-based sources is ideal, because, as I said, the dairy industry is a whole another presentation by itself. So if you can get it from your plant-based sources, great. I would prefer, even if you love your cheese, as a lot of us do, goat cheese, I would prefer that over the cow-based cheeses, etc. So
Okay,
yeah.
interesting. All right, so we have a couple of questions. I'll take those questions quickly before we begin to wrap, because I have a little poll I want to ask some persons to answer, but just to give a little feedback on the session, right?
Okay.
So the question is, first question is, how can environment affect us? That is the oil bell creating acid rain, etc. And there's a second question, right? I'll just mention it quickly. What about protein deficiency in sickle cell disease and muscle as compared to organ-sourced meat?
Okay. All right. The first question was on the environment, how the environment affects us.
Yeah, the environment affects us, especially like the oil belt and acid rain, etc.
Yeah. Well, as I would have said in the initial presentation, is that at the end of the day, we live in a toxic environment. And we live in a toxic environment, from the air that we breathe to the water that we drink to even the body care products that we put onto our body. And it is for this reason why nutrition, which, as I said, all pharmaceuticals come from a plant-based source, right? If it's not synthesized in a lab, to copy what is already present in your plant-based foods, it comes directly from extracts of plants and the things that we eat on a regular basis. So it is for this reason why we need all of us, whether we have a pre-existing inherited blood disorder or not, all of us need to be mindful and intentional about consuming more plant-based foods, more live foods, and be more mindful of even our food combination. Like, I know culturally we basically eat like, in one plate is like, if it's our last meal, is like a last supper. But really, food combination, that's a whole other presentation. But really, we're not supposed to be eating like, say we're having beef, we're not supposed to have beef with potatoes and rice and pasta. If we having meat, we're supposed to have that with vegetables, leafy greens, and these kinds of things, because these foods have the enzymes that help us properly digest and assimilate the meat. And likewise, if we're having carbohydrate-based foods, like say our rice or our sweet potato or whatever, again, we're supposed to be having that with leafy greens and vegetables that are not so high in carbohydrates, but are high, that are colorful and high in these enzymes that help us to properly digest and assimilate the foods that we eat. So yes, these things affect our health. We as individuals can't do anything to get away from that. But what we can do is be more mindful and more intentional in what we put into our body, and give our body the tools and the ammunition necessary to fight the assaults that we come under daily, no matter where we are. Okay, so that's that question. The other question was what? Remind me again.
Okay, what about protein deficiency in sickle cell disease and muscle as compared to organ source meat?
Okay. Okay, protein deficiency. I mean, if that's an issue, then it's just, you just need to be more mindful of consuming the proteins. And again, you have to be mindful about, when you are consuming, say, your animal-based proteins, you have to be mindful of what you're consuming it with. Because, okay, so if we have a traditional Sunday lunch type dinner, and we realize that we feel tired afterwards, we have come to think about that as ethnic fatigue, or just we have come to accept that as normal. But it's not normal. That is symptomatic that something has gone wrong.
Yes.
Because food is meant to fuel us. So if we're feeling tired after a meal, we know that something with regards to our food combination went wrong, because it's costing more energy to digest and assimilate or process this food than it's giving us an energy. So, so when we're having proteins, we need to be mindful of not consuming these proteins with high carbohydrate foods, so that that protein can be properly broken down and assimilated, instead of being basically passed out prematurely and not really being absorbed into our bodies. So all of these things are things we need to be mindful of when it is we observe that, okay, these are the symptoms that we are observing that's happening in our bodies. So protein deficiency, you need to be mindful of your food combination, so that the protein that you do consume, it is properly assimilated and used, utilized in the body.
Okay, great. So I'm just gonna ask our attendees to take a quick poll. We just want to get a little feedback from you on how you thought the sessions were. All right. So it's just gonna take you less than a minute. All right. So we'll appreciate your feedback. And Patrice, we definitely want to thank you and thank you for joining us today. Thank you for making our virtual wellness month a success. Right, the information you shared was very informative. Right, and we've been having a lot of questions, and I'm pretty sure our members are going to want to have you back. Right.
I will be happy to be back.
So, well, definitely thank you for that, and thank you for making this all a success, right? And we definitely want to acknowledge let me first acknowledge our sponsors, beginning with Masters Pharmaceuticals, Roche Pharmaceuticals, Smith Robinson, RBC Royal Bank, Precision Fitness TT. We also have Pennywise that came on board, right, to help as well. We definitely want to thank those sponsors and for the Walkerton Committee or this virtual wellness committee, right? We want to thank everyone. So from our chairman of the committee, Nadia Stout-Virgil, right? Keeley Ransom, Ezra, Chanel, Jason, Robbie, myself, everyone who worked with us, Renee, everyone, and from all the support we got from members, everyone for making this venture a success, right? I think for the first time we did well, right? We are definitely very happy at some of the responses we've received so far, right? And thank you for our presenters for making this all a success. So it's from the Queens and Kings of Aerobics, to Brittany Balfour, to Siddhartha Blandon, to Chitra Maharaj, and you yourself, Ms. Patrice Williams. Thank you for all of you for your time, for giving us your time every week for the last 4 weeks, for this whole month. This is our season finale of Virtual Wellness Month 2021. It's the first time we did something like this, and we're really happy at the outcomes that we've gotten. So I'll let Nadia say a quick word before we go.
Yes, again, we want to thank all our viewing audience. We want to thank all our instructors, our nutritionist who was with us today. And again, we thank you so much for what you have, the knowledge that you've imparted with us today. We want to thank Ms. Chitra Maharaj again. Kiran did an excellent job of thanking everyone, but you know, it's just such a special thank you again to even our viewing audience, to my mother-in-law. I have to say she has been my #1 supporter. She may not have been able to do some of the exercise and routines, but she was on every session that we had for this whole 4 weeks. I want to say a special thank you, Mommy, and to everyone who tuned in. Again, these sessions will be available on our Facebook, so you all can go back, and if you all didn't get one of the parts of her lecture, you can go back and view it while she was discussing it. You can take your photos and you can, you know, share amounts of, and again, Patrice, we will definitely have you back. And thanks again. So now I just wanted to introduce some of our members. So we have Kiran, who is here with us. So I want our other members who on the Walkerton committee can just show your cameras, let them just see who are the persons behind this.
Let them show their hands so I can find them on the list quickly and
okay, show your hands.
Right.
Yes, so let them see who are the mastermind behind this virtual wellness event. And again, thanks to our sponsors who made it possible. Again, we have our competition, so we want you all to be a part of our competitions. We have most sold t-shirt competition. We have our chutney calypso competition. We have our exercise routine, so you can do your
so you all
2 to 3
can open up
minutes.
your cameras.
your 2 to 3 minute yoga session, Zumba session, aerobic session. Again, we want you all to be a part, and when we have t-shirts still, so you can still purchase your t-shirts. Remember to enter, you must have your this year SISBD t-shirt. So any one of our members are there?
I guess we are all here.
So you could show your faces.
No one.
So we
Alright.
have Miss Karen Eddy, we have Robbie Cnat, we have Patricia Virgil Richard, we have who again is on? We have Rennie Estelle, we have Chanel Maharaj. I just wanted everybody to just be a part of this, so y'all could have seen who were our committee members. And again, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. And I hope that our virtual wellness month. Sorry. I didn't hear you, sorry.
No, I was just saying hello to everybody.
Oh, hi, Jason.
I don't know why I'm not able to put my webcam on.
Yeah, hi everyone.
None of us are Jason.
Yeah.
No, I'm not seeing anyone's camera.
Just now.
I'm not seeing good night, everybody. I'm not seeing my camera option. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't see my but I hope people enter the competition for the
If you see the camera option.
Yeah. All right, everyone see me? Excellent. Thank you.
all right. I now
Hi,
see you.
Gabby.
Hello, hello. I really hope that good night, everyone. I hope that people send in their pieces with their spoken word and their chutney. I did a piece there, and I hope that people could send in their pieces. You know, just be creative and say what's in your heart, and really combine your love with entertainment, and let's entertain others with our voices and our intelligence. Because I always put out a comedic spin when I'm doing my pieces. So I'm hoping that people would yes, it's a serious society, but we all about fun and enjoyment, and this whole week was about that as well. So I'm hoping that people would send in their pieces, and we could adjudicate and may the best person who submits win. Looking forward to the submissions. Have a good night.
Thank you, Robbie. Thank you.
Remember all that your submissions are going to 272-5404. Submissions are due on the 13th of August, 2020, the best day of the year. You can also visit us on Facebook and Instagram at SISBDTT. Our office number 288-0877. In case you have not gotten your jerseys yet, we still have a few left. Remember to share with all your friends and families. And we are looking forward to seeing you all when we become non-virtual and walking again. Thank you all.
And some of our sessions are also available, including this one should be available soon at our YouTube channel, our new YouTube channel. So check that out. We have some great content there already. So check it out. So you'll be able to get the information. Get this presentation should be there on soon. So check it out.
Kiran, allow me, please. Thank you. Good night, everyone. Allow me to please acknowledge Nadia Stout Virgil. Want to big up a shout out to Nadia.
Definitely.
Our committee head, sharing us, leading us all the way through this. And it's been a challenge. And we just want to tell you,
Definitely.
And yes, we did it. Yes, we did it. And I guess all of those calls and all those those phone calls and emails and requests that you send through. You know, we just want to thank you, and we ask that you continue to do the good work that you do, and for your selfishness in sharing yourself and in sharing your time. We thank you for leading this team, and we look forward to, God's willing, look forward to next year. You know, if things remain the same, and we hope not, but as Karen said, we hope that to be on the other side of this, we hope to be out, and we hope to be seeing members and chatting and hugging and experiencing all the good feelings that we do when we come together in the society for our annual walkathon. Thanks
Definitely.
again, Nadia.
I support that 100%, and definitely her leadership and her energy, right? And her ideas, definitely, right? And I think the success of this event would not have been possible without her.
Yes,
And without my great
Yes.
team, I
Our-
cannot have
our
done it
best-
without my team.
a great team leader.
I think Nadia is
you
the
know,
glue that held us
so
together.
we-
Nadia is like the glue, and she's really the inspiration for the team to be motivated. And that is something that is a rare quality and an admirable quality to have, to really motivate people, especially in these times of COVID and uncertainty. Nadia has been a beacon of inspiration and motivation for the team, because we all going through our own battles, you know, health and so okay, a problem, right? But Nadia has really, you know, when she speaks, she's very firm yet very loving and very inspiring. I want to thank her a lot for being a beacon in our team. Thank you again, Nadia.
Oh, thank you, Robbie.
Dr. Charles will be very proud of you, as well as Kiel. I'm sure that they're both smiling down at us right now. Well done.
Yeah. Thank you. I cannot have done it without my team. And again, we did it all for our members and all for the public. We did this all for you all. I hope you all had a great wellness month. Again, we're not sure what this pandemic will hold for us. We're not sure if we're going to divert again next year, but we will come up with new ideas and have new innovations for you all. So thanks again for being a part of our virtual wellness month. And to all the committee members, we did it. So bye, everyone.